I'm Martin. I'm talking to you a little bit about business models, but more about business itself. What we have done during the 4 years, how we have changed during the 4 years, and where we are today, and then what we have learned during this kind of transformation. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that there are still some people in the audience who doesn't know what Fortumo is or what we actually do. Then really shortly, we were founded in 2007. That's 4.5 years ago. We're a spin-off of a company called Mobi Solutions, who is the leading mobile value-added services provider in Baltics. So what they did back then was they did all sorts of cool mobile stuff. Was it mobile voting on conferences, whether you could win Elton John's concert ticket, or you could text something and got to know that, okay, the water temperature in certain beaches are like 23 or 14 in Pirita, for instance. So they also had a really cool kind of self-servicing platform where everyone could also create their own services. Let's say you text in and you kind of got the contact details of the cheapest taxi in Pärnu or Tallinn. And that model did pretty okay in Baltics, and they decided that it would be wise to kind of spin it off to a private company and a separated company and then go global. So we launched in 7 countries, Nordics and then Baltics, and started doing cool mobile value-added services back then. Today we are focusing on mobile operator billing, live in doing business in 60+ countries. We have a kind of a sales business development office in San Francisco and the main office in Tartu, where all the operations are held. We don't have much people, 23 approximately, from different nations. And today most of our, like the biggest clients or the majority of our clients are involved with gaming, social networking on web or on mobile. So what they do is they monetize the virtual goods with mobile. That's pretty much it. And talking about the business models, why I took this picture, this is a really crappy picture, but this is from 2007, the very first business model picture. As I said, I won't talk too much about business model because that has stayed the same throughout the entire time. But back then we thought that we would do something really radical, and we would actually ask people money for the service, not to go that mainstream way to like Facebook, Google, and others went. So we thought that we would be like really radical and ask money for the service. How it works in general is that we have contracts with mobile operators, and our clients have contracts with us. So if we have a client called Awesome Games, and they have a really cool online game, then I'm Martin, I'm buying a really fancy sword from the game, I'm paying €1. Greedy mobile operators take 20 cents from that. The modest but really developer-friendly Fortumo takes 5, and the developer gets then 75. It depends on the country, but that's the whole logic. So we decided not to take any kind of membership fees or anything, so just work purely on revenue share basis. So if there is a business for our clients, there is business for us, and that's the whole philosophy for us throughout the time. What has happened during the past 4 years? It's not the revenue curve isn't exactly the hockey stick, unfortunately, but I can imagine that someone who doesn't play hockey very well could at least manage with that kind of hockey stick. So that has been our journey we started as a kind of self-servicing portal where we mainly targeted private individuals who could do really cool and awesome mobile value-added services. And today we have ended up pretty entirely into B2B business, working with large international gaming companies, social networks. And that hasn't been kind of as a switch from one model to another. That has been kind of a transformation during the time period. I distinguished here 3 kind of different growth phases or different phases, how we did something, how we approached certain things, how we approached clients, who we thought our clients should be, and yeah, how we did things in general, and what was our general mindset, what did we want to do, what did we want to achieve, and what was our kind of self-image at that time. And then there are kind of 3 distinct distinct phases of that, and I'm gonna talk to you about each and every one of them, what we did there, and what were some of the things we learned, what went well and what didn't. So the first phase, it's I'll call it export phase. It's the typical phase where you go to Latvia and Finland. Well, yeah, we went to China, but still. So what happened during that time? We were still, I mean, as I said, we launched in 7 countries. For the first year, we didn't expand into any other new countries, so we tried to manage with those 3 countries. And during that time, we actually didn't hire much new people either. And the focus was still, I mean, on private individuals. We were doing SMS-based services. We had different services. We had like text-to-win campaign services, just kind of sharing the info. We even built something for Facebook, so you could have a Facebook chat. Then we measured how did it do. Then we killed it. Then we had a service for YouTube. Then we measured it. Then we killed it. And then eventually, yeah, we had like 4 or 5 services that we kind of packaged it. But yeah, the general idea is that like with the gaming, the example earlier, exactly like Zynga does. I mean, if the game doesn't get decent traction early on, then you shouldn't support it. The same philosophy was with our services. So at that time, we thought that going social is cool. Everybody goes social. We also did that, and then we killed everything. Back then, we also had really country-specific approach. We hired different people from Taiwan, Poland, Romania, Serbia, Bulgaria, and so on. Some of them were in our office in Tartu. It was pretty cold to Taiwanese people, and some of them were actually in that particular country. And the approach was that when we went to a new country, then we, as a normal business, we wanted to attract local companies, local people, and get them to our customers so that they would generate revenue in that particular country. So when we launched in Romania, then we did all sorts of nasty internet marketing stuff and PR, got local people's attention, and they started using us in Romania. So that was kind of an approach, and everything was kind of how we saw ourselves was that we are the online business. So we didn't have any kind of, I would say, direct communication with our clients. It was more like we did PR, we did marketing, all sorts of things. And we were trying to get people on our platform so they would generate revenue. That worked out pretty okay. I mean, in some countries we did better, in some countries not. And but we never wanted to kind of do anything kind of tailored to the clients. And with new people in the team kind of got decentralized. So we had country managers for each country. They were managing the country, doing marketing, trying to get new merchants live. And the team grew a bit, and but still, our customers were local people who were doing things. Some were doing nice things. Some, unfortunately, like it always happened with open platforms, some tried to do not so decent things. So we learned our lesson. That's not marked here. Don't trust people. So whenever you provide something open, there are always inventive people who try to abuse it. What we learned was that your product isn't ready, like Tallinn isn't ready, so you should ship it as soon as possible. What oftentimes companies, also in Estonia, do is that they say that, no, we actually can't start with marketing yet, or we can't start with sales yet, because, I mean, the things are not ready yet. I mean, I need to work with the shadow of our logo on the website and stuff like that. So it takes time. So eventually it takes like 6+ months before you get to the market, and that might be too late. So if you can dig and you can see our first website, it was ugly as hell. But I mean, we did sales, we earned money. That was the prime thing and the primary thing. And then what we did, I mean, you ship things, you get feedback, and you improve. Don't ever try to kind of think everything through 100%, because you don't get it. Build something that's working, get feedback, improve. During that period, we first time learned that there is a cultural difference. Markets are different in terms of how you address certain things, and then also people with whom you work are different. So, for instance, if you have a same service in different countries, let's say you redesign your service. In most of the countries, people would just kind of ignore it, or some maybe say in some forums that, yeah, I like the old version better. But there are still countries where people write to support kind of emails that typically are, I'm kind of censoring them, but they're typically like, hey dudes, that button was red yesterday. You changed it to blue. Come on, change it back. And in one day we had an issue with the sign up. It didn't work. So the typical person would either write to support and say, guys, your sign up doesn't work, or would just leave and think that, okay, this is not a serious service. Then in certain countries, people would write that, guys, you suck. I mean, I tried it. I have filed a complaint against you in consumer protection. My lawyer will get in touch with you. I want to get the Fortumo account and I will sue you guys. So this is kind of a cultural difference. So everything can happen, and you need to address those things. And yeah, the second thing is that you need to address your service slightly different in certain regions. The other thing is, of course, if you're working with an international team, then again, like a really, really basic thing, giving feedback to people, is that in Nordics, we tend to do it really mildly. We say something good. Martin, you have been working really well. I saw that, yeah, you didn't execute this perfectly. You should maybe improve this, that, and the third thing. But in general, I'm really pleased with you. So in most of the countries, it works pretty okay and well. But there are still countries, especially Balkan countries, where, I mean, people do not listen. You practically have to yell at them in order to get the point. So you have to be brutally honest, say that, come on, you can't work at all. You have to do it properly, or you do not do it at all. I mean, this is the only way how they can understand. Maybe I'm kind of making too big exceptions, but that's kind of a general thing in certain countries. And the third thing we learned is that people are as they are. If one person is lazy, then the person is lazy. You can't change people. You can change people to a certain extent how they do things, but you cannot change people in general. So whether find a new place or better things to do for that person, or it would be wiser for that person to do something else in another company. There's no point on putting time on people who doesn't perform or do not want to perform, because you can't change them, and the time you're putting in is costing money. Next phase was really interesting for us. We didn't hire much people during that time, but we expanded to like 20-25 countries during that period. And then since we had kind of the same manpower, then we obviously needed to change things a lot. And then during that period, it also changed a lot the way how we see things, or how we see ourselves and how we should approach it. Still, the product was pretty much the same. SMS services, but it was with a slight focus with online stuff and payments. But what changed for us was that the biggest change during that period was that we saw that having kind of a person per country or a country manager approach, that wasn't the best fit, because that didn't bring us the results we hoped. And yeah, honestly, we didn't have that much money to have people in 40 countries, and that would have been kind of a headache for management as well. So we centralized the team. So we were still really marketing focused, but we were addressing countries with a team together. Still the same thing when we launched in a new country. Then we had the same kind of marketing techniques, and try to approach local companies. But what changed for us was that during that time we realized that yeah, I mean, our clients realized, and then we realized that maybe it isn't that wise to try to kind of sell Romanian the idea to do business with us in Romania, because our value at that time, when we had already a critical mass of countries, 30, 40, we realized that our kind of competitive advantage was to sell a Romanian company the idea to do business with us in Bulgaria, Poland, Czech Republic, and so on. So that obviously changed the whole approach we took to our clients as well. We still were pretty marketing focused, but we changed the whole message that we provided. It was regional focused. It wasn't country specific, and yeah, we started to do a little bit kind of B2B business, approaching bigger clients directly. Knowing that they're doing business in multiple countries, and there we see that the kind of the upscale of that, and from that moment we also put more focus on internal marketing and internal sales and upselling, because it's easier to sell to existing customer than to find the new ones. So instead of putting all our efforts in trying to get to German media, we put less effort on that and put additional effort to selling our existing customers that, hey, you're doing business with us in 10 plus countries. Now we launched in Germany. Commercials are really great. We're doing awesome. Want to join us? The overall email to them wasn't exactly the same as I said, but in general. That was also a time when we kind of realized that maybe doing business in the dungeon in Tartu isn't the right way to do it. So we started looking outside of Estonia, started attending industry events, hearing more about what competitors are doing, talking with customers, understanding what they want to do, and then yeah, kind of started slightly looking at the bigger picture, what's going on in the world. but still we had a lot of private individuals in our customer portfolio and local companies, regional companies. What we learned there was that it's never about the competition. Back then, all our competitors were looking into US and focusing on Western Europe. So what we did was that we decided that we would move towards emerging markets, Central Eastern Europe, Russian-speaking countries, Asia Pacific. Why we did that? Because none of our competitors did that. There were like huge markets untapped, and we thought that if we could get there before others, we could get better market position. Now, a couple of years later, that was really a smart move. This is still our one of our biggest competitive advantages, where we enable people to monetize in emerging markets where kind of credit card-based payment methods do not convert. And what else? Say no to your customers and try to do it. If you're in a kind of in a ramp where things are doing well, then and you have an online business and you're approaching bigger corporate clients, then those corporate clients have really kinky needs and they want to tailor everything. And then what oftentimes salespeople want to do is, yeah, we'll give you everything. I mean, we need to develop that blinking blue rabbit to the website so that we could get that client. Yeah, no one wanted the blinking blue rabbit, but they wanted custom reporting and all sorts of things. I want my payment widget to be blue, or I want to actually define the color of that payment widget, and so on and so forth. So what we did was that everything that was scalable and reasonable for other merchants, we put it to our roadmap. Everything that was client-specific, we didn't do it, unless there was a really, really huge opportunity. And I don't remember that we saw any huge opportunities back then. So we said no to a lot of clients. We lost certain clients, but we kept our focus. We kept our focus and we did what we thought that was right, because if you get into the loop of building custom things, then eventually you mash up all stupid features and your product doesn't make sense. What we also learned, if you are in a growth phase where you're expanding or things are going relatively well, then you should always have a bit more people than you today need. Because if you finally understand that you need someone, then you start looking for them, then you don't find right people, then you start looking again, and eventually when you hire, then actually you would need twice as many people. So, and yeah, what happens if someone leaves? I mean, even though you might have the best company in the world and you're doing at least as awesome things as mobile value-added services or mobile payments, still some people leave from your company, and if they leave, they kind of leave a big gap. So always, if anyhow financially possible, have a bit more people than you would actually today need if you're a growing company. And then there is a kind of final phase where we are. I could split this phase into 3, 4, 5 different categories, because during that time, during that year and a half, much more has happened than with all the previous years together. That's because the industry has changed, but we have also changed. I've got older, wiser, and so on. What happened then? As I said, in the previous phase, we started going to industry events, talking to smart people, and we kind of got smarter. And then we thought that we would do a logical thing, what everybody else is doing, You take the key market, hire a really good sales gun, and he sells as hell, and you make a lot of money, and you do vision, and life is perfect. So what turned out was that we hired a sales gun in US, and we fired the sales gun 4 months later. Luckily, we understood that that wasn't the model, and then we started putting ourselves a lot of time into US. As I mentioned earlier, Ryan is there pretty often for a long time, but back then we started going there often to San Francisco. Why to San Francisco and Silicon Valley? Because a lot of our kind of potential clients, gaming companies, are there. So we didn't go there to attend any Waypoint 250 events. So we just actually went there, attended a couple of industry events, visited a lot of potential clients, did networking, tried to get meetings, were turned down, tried to get another meeting, and so on. So we just went there, were there like 3-5 weeks, sometimes a bit more. So we just kind of put more effort into US. And the reason was that at that time we learned that it's not about the country, or it's not about the region. It's more you have to focus into the areas where your clients are, or the countries. For us, it was Silicon Valley, it was UK, and it was Germany. A lot of gaming companies. How did we? I actually forgot to say that. We kind of switched our focus to gaming because gaming companies were growing. They needed monetization, virtual. The whole business model was changing in gaming companies. They changed from subscriptions to selling virtual goods. So you could buy virtual credits or some items, and that was kind of a huge boost for the entire industry. And we kind of realized that, and we entirely also switched to gaming. The old business remained the same, but we focused all our business development and sales to gaming and social networking. And then we focused it into like 3 or 4 different countries. And then we kind of tried to convince the companies there, that global gaming companies, that do business with us in 40 countries. That has had a better kind of scaling effect. Opened an office in San Francisco. This is still kind of a business development office where the salespeople are in different industry events in Asia, Europe, US, sometimes Latin America. But as I said, committed to US a lot because we got the good market feedback. That's kind of in the lessons learned part. And while talking to the clients, we realized that everybody was also switching to mobile. And then we also learned that everybody was saying that we're doing really well on iOS. Things are awesome, but Google sucks. We cannot monetize our users in Google on Google platform because they only support US and credit card, and that's awful. We're losing money. And Android users are different as well, because Android users do not want to pay for anything. They are pirating stuff. So you cannot sell your apps on Android market, because in 90% of the countries, guys are torrenting it in like day 2 or day 1. So that has changed a lot. But that was the time where we focused a lot on, thanks to the customer feedback, to mobile gaming. And this is actually the only reason, or the biggest reason why we are in the picture today, that clearly, because we actually have the best product for mobile app payments. And social networking still there. So what did we learn during that period? The traditional model that let's go to Poland and hire a Polish sales guy and let's rock the world and do vision doesn't work for for tech companies and especially for companies who are in the industry which is developing really rapidly. So the management, the founders should always be in touch with the client, should always be doing sales, business development, and should spend a lot of time in the hotspots where the clients are. That's what we learned, because if we had kept the first US guy, I think we wouldn't be in the situation as we are today. Second thing is something that we see in Estonia so much. You can also read it from different articles. People say that it doesn't matter I'm doing internet business. It doesn't matter where I'm doing it. I can do it in Tartu, even from Tartu. Because I'm doing internet marketing and I have 3 customers from Kuala Lumpur. So that's an international business. So actually this doesn't work. If you can do international business from your mother's bedroom to a certain extent. You can do it up to, I don't know, 50 million euros, 10 million euros revenue annually. But if you want to be somewhere or get to the global level, then you have to be where your clients are. And the reason is that you do not get that market feeling or the market insight from the place, from the far distant place like Estonia, as you do if you are in the hotspots of your industry, whether it's engineering industry in Boston, whether it's gaming industry in Germany, whether it's Industry X in UK. So you have to be there, whether to attend events and be there often or be there physically all the time, because that's the only way how you can keep up with that run. Because I think if we were stayed in Tartu, because we thought that we were doing really cool stuff. Romanians liked us, Serbians yelled at us, but they loved us. And we were doing really awesome mobile value-added services. But we wouldn't be doing payments as we do it today if we didn't go to US and then different places across the globe. That was also said, that's a kind of a general philosophy in the end. Whatever you do, please do not try to polish the shadow of your logo. Do not build your product a year or year and a half in the garage somewhere. Ship a buggy product as soon as possible. Measure the results and get feedback and improve it, learn from it. And that's the only way how to be successful. Because if you're putting 1.5 years, 1 year, 2 years into product development, no one sees it, then you're putting it on the table, ta-da, and then everybody says that, that's crap. So you don't want to do that. You would like to do it, you build it for the month, you put it on the table, people say, that's crap, and you rebuild it, and you can do it like 15 times. And I mean, during that process, you should be doing something right at least. So this is what we are doing today, and this is our focus. If you remember, back then we had text-to-win campaigns. We had really cool mobile services. Someone even maybe sold a couple of ringtones back then. If you remember, ringtones were still kind of for money back then. So today we're focusing on payments and really strongly on mobile, different mobile platforms, mobile web as well, and yeah, still online businesses are still our friends, but the general kind of focus of the business is different. So we're not today kind of competing with Polish companies or competing with Romanians. It's rather kind of a race against credit cards and other things, but yeah, in general. That's the whole story. Thanks.